His Venus is like probably on your Pluto. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Oh.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You want to take it, Mr. Godiva?
Welcome to the Midheaven podcast with your co-host, Mr. Godiva, Chocolate Smooth. This is, of course, Hermes and Hades. I was actually tripping out the other day. I was like, how did we manage to get Hermes and Hades together on a podcast? Because that's like kind of impossible, but
Well,
we did it.
Satan works in mysterious ways.
It's not just God, y'all.
Welcome to the underworld.
Yep. Where you will never leave if you come unless you're Hermes. So it is what it is.
Okay, two things. One is, did I tell you, speaking of Hades and Hermes, so the other day I was ordering pizza when pizza showed up at the house, and the pizza guy goes and rings the doorbell. We get the pizza, and he's like, so crazy. He's like, the total is like 666. And he's like, yeah, crazy. He's like, yeah, like, you know, the devil. And I was like, yeah, welcome to hell. Like
$6.66?
It was like 36.66 or something, but
my cap is like exact. That's how much the pizza was.
no,
like that's
hell
why.
no pizza's that much.
But-
not delivery. Are you
Right.
kidding me? But
But no, I was like $6. All right, not delivery exactly. Right.
But he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, like 666, and I was like, yeah, the word of the Dark Lord has already been brought to this
Right. We serve pizza over here.
And then two, I got my Costco coupons this week because, I mean, come on, I'm a white lady.
Shout out to Costco.
And yeah, shout out to Costco and their hot dogs and all their snacks.
I remember we used to eat pizza there, like back in the day.
I still eat pizza there.
They have pizza in Costco still?
Yeah, it's the best.
Don't sleep on Costco
shittiest,
pizza.
best pizza ever.
Yes, yo.
But I got my
Don't sleep on
coupons, and I opened my coupons from the mail, and it was like, oh, 2-pound bag of Godiva chocolate on sale. And I was like, yo, I gotta go and get you a big bag of chocolate. Right? Because we have to celebrate because this episode is officially at number 52.
Season 2, 52.
So essentially, we have been at this now for a year. Right, my math is correct. 52 divided by 7.
Nice.
Carry the 3 divided by 5 to the square root of, I don't know. I practice geometry.
52,
That's
53,
about it.
54, something like that. That's what's up, though.
But yeah, so that's happening. So that's great. I'm working on that big bag of chocolate.
Right.
Right.
Ooh, coming soon. I like that.
I should, with the Mars, Venus, and Capricorn transit.
Oh, yes. You know what?
Very much.
Yeah. It's very earthy. It's very
Just
grounded.
looking forward to that being over. Like I'm done with the Venus retrograde. Actually, by the time you guys are watching it, it's already over. So that's awesome.
That was such a heartbreaker for so many people. I feel like a lot of people just came to the realization that they're gonna die alone. No, I'm joking. That like any unreasonable expectations not gonna work. Any exes not gonna work. Like it just. I like it because it was just a huge wake up call, and like it's not really a bad thing. It was just really frustrating. But I think it reminded people of their worth and like their time. You know.
Yeah.
What to accept, what not to accept.
Yeah. I mean, it's stationing right now as we're filming this, and like I have an anal Venus in Capricorn. Granted, I have 4 planets there, and like my life is pretty normal and pretty stable. And like the last month, I've been like, I'm fucking done.
Damn.
I'm throwing in the towel in a lot of different ways. I've had enough. That's it. And those transits have not peaked yet. They won't really peak until the beginning of March. So that's going to be interesting, obviously, because the topic of this episode is all going to be about the transits during Pisces season. So welcome to Pisces season. We will definitely touch on that because we're going to see Mars and Venus moving together throughout this month, really going all the way through early March. And it's just like, man, like fucking gangbusters after these transits. I mean, I think of like, you look at like all like the Mars, Venus, Neptune aspects. That's really nice and very dreamy. That's going to be taking place. And then right out the gate in April, it's like, bam, Saturn conjunctions and squares to the nodes. And then
And I like that that's during Aries season. Like once we start, it's like we're starting a new season off with bam, like all that intensity, all those nodal squares. Everything is literally happening in Pisces season. I see it as like a cosmic washing machine. That's just gonna change everything. It's a game changer.
I also think just like a lot about like time. I've been thinking a lot about time with all these conjunctions to Saturn, with like the Mercury retrograde in and out of Aquarius and then into Capricorn and then back into Aquarius. So like I always like to remind my clients, this is the beauty of astrology, right? Like the traditional calendar that you have on your wall, fucking throw it away. Yes. It does not work, okay? You want to really look at the timing of energies starting on 3 separate periods. So one, you can go with the astrological new year when planets are ingressing into Aries, and that's like boom, fresh new energy because it's Mars, it's cardinal, it's
equinox,
new, it's fresh, it's spring, everything's, at least here in the northern hemisphere, everything's kind of heating up. You can go based off of when the sun crosses your ascendant and that's starting a new physical cycle for you.
Sorry, Southern Hemisphere, you don't matter.
No, I have so many clients that are like Aussies and like some people who are in South America. Maybe when like your ruling planet crosses your ascendant or your solar return. So these are all times where there's fresh energy. So if all this sounds like
solar return,
kind of like Latin to you, all you need to know is that the energies really do start over when we get into Aries. So when I see these planets all kind of hovering in Pisces and also hovering in Capricorn, part of me wants to cackle inside and go like, stupid fucking mortals. Like, you guys think that you know the plan. You think that you've worked it out and that you know how everything's going to come together and it's just going to be super easy. When in reality, what you're building and what's actually going to manifest, even though you might get to the same end-all be-all goal, I think there's going to be like a huge plot twist. So when planets get into the last degrees of Pisces, because it's mutable, there's like these meltdowns. And it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's like very...
Especially with Neptune too. Oh my goodness. No one's going to know what to do.
Well, everybody's going to be on drugs and hooked up to Oculus and watching VR porn and all those fun Venus, Jupiter, Neptune things, doing drugs, right? Doing lines off of toilets and stuff.
Which is wild. Ooh! There we go. On shrooms or acid. Like, it's cool because the whole purpose of the mutable sign season is to change your beliefs and perspective. So when you step into Aries, you know what direction to step into. But I mean, I love that you said that because that's the hugest vision I get with Pisces. It's like people have been building this sandcastle and they've been so focused on the sandcastle they're building that there's a huge wave that's going to come through and knock down your sandcastle.
Right.
And so it's like, what are you obsessing over structuring in because it's about to be made obsolete?
Well, I just think that it's interesting because, you know, I'm not going to discredit like the Mars, Pluto conjunctions because they're super passionate, they're very powerful, but it's also like, you know, I was talking before we started the podcast, I was like, well, you know, when these conjunctions happen, Mars and Venus, people get very passionate, like in a good way or a bad way. The positive side is like everybody's going to fuck and it's going to be some awesome like BDSM stuff, like whips and chains and like daddy stuff,
like
right?
a total dom energy.
Right, it's so good. It's so good for like, I mean, it's really going on around Valentine's Day too, but I could see like there's like a kind of like a battle of the sexes going on where there's like a back and forth and we're going to see like Venus pull ahead of Mars and then Mars pulls ahead of Venus and it can be like hot, like sexy, like makeup sex, right? But I also look at this and I go, if we become too passionate and too fixated on control and trying to control the outcome and trying to force things, then the sextiles and all the aspects that it's making to Neptune, it'll dissolve it. Or when it eventually does come into conjunction with Neptune, it will dissolve. So it's going to be interesting. I think people think things are going to go one way and they're going to go a completely different direction because it's like Mr. Toad's wild ride when you're seeing conjunctions to Neptune. Even the sextiles to Neptune are actually going to start that process pretty early.
Which will be very powerful sextiles too. And then you got the other Uranus sextiles. So it's definitely grounding action unconventionally. It's not like waiting for things to manifest. It's manifesting as you're doing it. And I really just like that because once again, like, the battle of the sexes, I feel like, is the most relevant thing. If you've seen the build-up, like, you have all these manosphere YouTube channels of just people arguing with each other about how to please a woman. It's like men are just clueless all over the world. Oh, this is how to be alpha. This is how you should treat a woman.
Goal oriented. That's the nice thing, is that it's goal oriented. So that's nice.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but it looks nice, but nothing's really getting done, and people are just kind of like talking shit. But then you have the woman that's also having their arguments, and like, oh, they think they're the revenge of the nerds, and like, I love it because it's all gonna meet at a very like crazy head, and I think you're onto something. Like, it just might end up in people just being like, let's just have sex, let's just stop arguing.
Well, okay, three things. One is that even though Mars is exalted in Capricorn, when you have these conjunctions, the brighter planet wins. And ultimately Venus will be like, peace out, and will actually pass Mars. That will happen.
And it is a morning star, right? Because it's before the sun. So yeah, that's true.
And then two is that the nodes are ruled now by Mars and Venus. So we've got this conjunction that's like the past and the future are collectively working together to make big changes in regards to the future, right? So there's that. And then three is all of this is coming into a sextile with Neptune, which is super passionate, very dreamy, very kind of mystical, magical, healing.
Yeah.
And we've got Jupiter sextile Uranus, which is like miracles happening, especially towards the very, very beginning of the Pisces transit. It's actually going to be the strongest like mid-February, so it's going to be a very short period of time that they'll be in an exact sextile. So kind of getting into
unexpected miracles. So I guess that's what makes it
Pisces season. It starts on the 18th. And starts with the Mars-Venus conjunction.
Very symbolic.
So it's interesting to me also that we just barely miss, like the moon is in Virgo that day. So we just barely miss a full moon. We actually have to wait until like mid-March for that to fully come together.
Yeah. It will still kind of give a mini like sneak peek. So there could be like some mini dreams made real or like, you know, stuff accomplished. But oh my gosh, like, I even like to see the 0 degrees, 11 and 22. Like, that's kind of interesting. But with that Mars-Venus conjunction, the conjunction is a new cycle. So for us to have that at the beginning of Pisces season is just super symbolic. I see this as like the official entrance into uncharted territory. Everything that we've come to know is obsolete. And I think one of the most significant things, like this new moon cycle is going to be one of the most magical, if not the most magical, significant new moon cycle we've had in over 200 years. Because the last time we had this was like Dred Scott decision, like 200 years ago, give or take.
Yeah, it was like the 1880s, right?
Yeah.
Am I doing my math
It
right?
was like the 1880s.
Yeah,
it was
okay.
around there.
I remember just like looking at some of like the timeline stuff and just like big innovations with like vaccines, big innovations and changes with photography, things that related to health, but also mysticism and anything relating to like mediumship and spirituality. So I'm really excited for that. So let's kind of go through Pisces season and take a look at some of the most kind of interesting transits. Like I said, it starts with a Mars-Venus conjunction. We move where Mercury is now coming out of shadow at the end of February, beginning of March. So if you remember Mercury went retrograde just short of Saturn, and it actually started retrograding when it was in a square to Uranus. So we start seeing that Mars and Venus are moving together. And then we see Mercury coming back into the square with Uranus.
And that's kind of what I like. Like Venus and Mars literally travel a degree together once that conjunction comes.
Right.
And that's, I think it's the longest we may have seen that dance. We've seen it before in a couple years, but now we're seeing it with the end of this Jupiter and Neptune cycle.
Right.
So a lot of closures, a lot of getting ready to step into, you know, new cycles. And I think it's bringing everyone to a higher level of operation than once again they're used to. But yeah, I mean,
I found the Mercury-Uranus square quite stressful. And
you just answered my question.
Yeah, and it brought up like a lot of like tension in regards to just not conversations that were revolving around not having the same values, right? Because Uranus and Taurus. So I found that it was kind of like, oh, these conversations or emails or exchanges or things that just made me realize like not being on the same page as other people. I think in spite of that though, you still have Mars and Venus that are making sextiles to Neptune. So I think that a lot of people are actually going to find that through these passionate encounters and interactions and conversations and transactions and relationship conflicts and just power struggles, it's like the truth comes out. That's like sometimes you actually have to fight through it, right? And I was talking about this on my channel where I was like, you know, when Mars and Venus were separate, there was always war in mythology. But when they come together, war ceased, there was peace, everybody was making love, they were, you know, playing music and writing poetry and dancing and spending time in bed and indulging. So in a way, it's like, it kind of makes me wonder, is 2022 the year where love really can cure all? Like, can love conquer everything? And I think this is where we're going to see like what relationships are really made of with some of these transits. So then Mercury really comes into the square between the 24th and the 25th. This is an interesting day, the 25th and the 26th, when the moon actually comes into conjunction with Venus. And then also Mars and Pluto all coming into trines with the North Node, all still making sextiles to Neptune. Part of me feels inclined to say, like, don't get blinded by eroticism. We're learning a lot about whether or not love is possession, whether or not sex is love, whether or not we can continue to manipulate and take advantage of things and like power, have power over other people. Because Venus is so, I don't know, especially in Capricorn, it's just like so determined that it's like, yeah, everything's going to be fine. But I think if you're smoothing things over and just assuming that everything's okay and pushing through it, may not be the way to go, especially just knowing how things are going to play out in April when planets come into conjunction with Saturn.
Especially because there's no Virgo. So like, unless you have Virgo energy, there's...
Well, the Earth's in Virgo. But
that's
yeah,
true.
But yeah. Yes.
Just lack of analysis or you know, unlike, and that's what I really appreciate about Virgo season. A lot of details and facts were like synthesized socially, but this isn't a time for that. This is a time of dreaming and believing, and I feel like scammers will be at an all-time high. It's been raising, but like it's not saying to not have faith and hope, but like just know the dark side of this is people finessing like very persuasive, charismatic speeches to get you to believe in maybe a new altcoin that just finessed you, or maybe, you know, like maybe something political, maybe something publicly broadcasted, maybe a ex or a friend that kind of sells you on a dream. So you let the earth, you know, prove that dreamy energy. I would say that's the only thing that can get in the way, especially with the Lilith squares too. So like, be careful about what people say because they can lie to themselves, and you don't want to be the party pooper, because this is still heavy miracle magic. Like there's a definitive breakthrough collectively. This to me feels like the new Facebook or TikTok is coming out, you know? So
to me, it feels like it's about to be the birth of some kind of like realization that we're having a big change in government. That there's major political leaders that are going to have to leave or step down because of sex scandals, money and financial scandals, anything relating to Pluto, because Pluto, you know, now Mercury is direct, now Venus is coming out of shadow. I think really what we're going to see is just, if there are any major changes in government, it's going to start showing up right about with this moon cycle, is what I'm assuming. Or we start to see the breakdown, right? Yeah. The breakdown of power and power struggles.
And keyword breakdown, because what are the odds that at the end of the zodiac cycle, Pluto is inching towards America's Pluto return, so that it happens during Aries season? That's so symbolic. Yeah. So we're going to literally see the end. And I love what you said about government, because we're now at the stage where like Pluto Scorpios, Pluto Sages, and younger Pluto Libras are going to replace those in power. We're going to start to see younger people in office. So, you know, it's a whole revolution out here.
So this is going to be an interesting period too on the 28th when the moon conjuncts Mercury and also Saturn. And notice that, like when the moon comes into that conjunction with Mercury and Saturn, Sirius kind of bringing up some of the themes from that Aquarius new moon that we had. Immediately coming into a square with Uranus, immediately then getting ready to come into a square with the South Node. So there's some hardening, some limitations, some issues revolving around information, and how that kind of riles people up. And I'm watching like Mars and Venus now at 25 degrees. Sun's coming into conjunction with Jupiter.
It's a huge setup. I think we need to see this new moon cycle as a huge setup pre that, because I mean, just for the new moon to happen with the Pluto, Mars, Venus conjunction, like we're all going to experience something building, and then boom. And I love what you said about the Mercury square, because I feel like that's going to be a way, Mercury is 10th house to Uranus. So for so long, people haven't been able to communicate or make sense of like why they're successful in areas and feel like try talking to a structural engineer or, materialist, reductionist astrophysicist about the success you made as an astrologer. They're going to think that you're a scam artist. So like, I feel like this is a period where people are able to kind of vocalize what that success, the knowledge of that success, why it actually is, accredited, why it actually is important with, so much collective to support that. So I think that could be a breakthrough for there too.
I mean, that new moon on the 2nd is just like, holy cow.
Yes.
New moon at 12 degrees of Pisces, the ruler being Jupiter or Neptune, depending on how you look at it. Both of them are conjunct. And then we also see that we have Venus, Mars, and Pluto all at 27 degrees of Capricorn.
Numerology 9.
Yeah.
Transformative action being taken place.
I'm really kind of amused by the Mercury-Saturn conjunction at a 19.
Yeah, that's happening at the same time. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, and this new moon sextiles Uranus.
Does that feel like a decision that you'll never back up on? Like, boom, this is how I think.
That seems to me like the new moon at 12 degrees is very magical and very spiritual. So that I'm positive about. It's about kind of keeping the faith, right? New moon conjunct Jupiter and Neptune. Yeah. So maintaining the faith.
It's a new cycle.
And these are still in a sextile to Mars, Venus, and Pluto. It's a loose one, but it's a sextile. And it's also in a pretty strong sextile to Uranus. So to me, it's kind of like going like, here's the deal. This is what we're doing. This is what we're executing. And we have to have faith that it's actually going to work.
And on the flip side of that, it's also probably legislation introduced that none of us know about until, it's released. So that shadow Mercury Saturn is really weird, but like, it to me looks like laws being official. Like,
I feel like the Mercury Saturn, especially at 19.
What do you think about Juno there too?
Well, I mean, Juno is still in a square to Uranus. I mean, there's no doubt, like across the board, relationships are being tested in a very big way. And this is not because we're coming, into now 2 years of being in a pandemic and economic stress and all kinds of other things. But if you've got, Mercury and Saturn at a 19, which is really dealing with Libra, it's conjunct, it's building into a square with the nodes. You've got Mercury, that's still, kind of in a square to Uranus. You've got Mars, Venus, and Pluto at a Gemini degree. To me, it seems like you're going to get to the beginning of March and it's going to be like, hey, are we on the same page? Do we have the same goals? Are we going in the same direction? Juno square Uranus tells me that there's a huge make or break period that's going to happen in relationships at the beginning of March. And I think that this has already been very clear with the Venus retrograde that's been going on and the conjunctions. And I think being that Venus has been kind of in cahoots with Juno in the process of this retrograde is like, people are really seeing what marriages and relationships are really made of. It's just, at least I've seen that in a lot of like my clients' lives. And
things that were blocked during the retrograde are going to move forward. Like the retrograde showed you potential of what is to come. And I think a lot of people jumped the gun and they're disappointed that it didn't really work out before it was even supposed to.
Right.
And this is where it's going to finally move forward with a new cycle. And I didn't even realize the new moon is on a Pisces degree.
Things are still dissolving, though. That's the thing, is that, I think part of the breakdown is necessary.
Yeah.
And that's what Pluto's been teaching us for a while. It's like, if it's not working, we need to transmute it. We need to change it. We need to kill it off. We need to have it be reborn. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to kind of see how that plays out. It's still in a document degree. So I think that without going into too much detail, because we did the Pluto return video, being that the Pluto return is happening in America in the second house in this degree, make no mistake, it's all going to come down to freedom of speech, right? Media, where we can drive, where we can travel, what documents we need to show, whether or not we're still upholding the Constitution in this country, if it needs to be reworked. I mean, I think that we're seeing like revolutionary energy across the board.
UK was like, yeah, we're not playing this game anymore.
Well, you know why, right? People were going and they were filing lawsuits and stuff, and they were basically saying it was crimes against humanity. And I think they started realizing that ultimately when this whole charade is up and we find out that the pandemic has really been continued and manipulated
organized, prepared and planned,
and extended primarily because they're preparing for the new world, and they're preparing to let everybody know that we're going to have limitations in food, we're going to have shortages, we're going to have huge economic crisis going on. Like, they're putting up 5G, like they're doing all of these things while we've been inside. So now people are getting restless and they're like, fuck this. And they're going to start.
And then the Supreme Court denied the
vaccine mandate, yeah.
Which it really gives me hope, because it lets you know it's not really one-sided. Like, there really is, even within government, the fight happening between just difference of opinions and what people.
Okay, so Pluto in America's second house is going to come down to, your body.
Yeah.
It's your body. Whether or not the government has control over your body, whether or not they are having a say in abortion, or whether or not you can, continue to travel freely without making changes to your body. I mean, that's really what it's about. And we're going to see this play out for the next several months, really.
And way beyond, because it's way beyond, like, vaccines, too. Like, just as far as bodies and as far as, like, a digital currency that I think is the coolest thing that's coming a part of this, like paperless currency. Even though, the old generation will still want, the paper on hand, or just gold.
We're not really
and silver.
using the paper so much anymore anyway, though. When you think about how much we're using
paper.
Debit cards and shit. I mean, really, this is the build-up, guys, to the end of July, beginning of August of 2022, when Uranus and the North Node connect in Taurus, and it's going to be at 18 degrees.
That's a wrap. If you have Pluto Scorpio, like, honestly, 2019, 2020, Spirit was like, listen, you need to be off grid by 2023. I literally have a book, How to Survive Off Grid.
Oh, I have one of those too.
I got it at Whole Foods.
Yeah, of course you do.
All right.
You're like secretly a white woman on the inside. I love it.
They used to call me Oreo Cookie in high school. Seriously.
But I mean, it's.
I feel like my soulmate is like white on the outside, but she hood on the inside. I don't know. It is, or like light skin or whatever. But I have no preference. I know there's this huge fiasco with Fresh and Fit saying I don't date black women. Listen, I date women.
People are saying you don't date black women?
No, they were saying they don't date night riders, or they don't go with the dark. These are like two, black men, and they called it a preference. And honestly, I don't
understand. This is like all like codes. So
it's
they're
huge
basically
drama.
saying they don't date black girls. They date
basically.
They like the white meat, the forbidden fruit.
They basically say they date everyone other than black women, and so I don't want to express an opinion towards that, because I don't want to talk about that. It's just huge dramatic, because this is all part of that, like the sex wars that are happening, kind of, give or take. So what I feel about Fresh and Fit, Fresh and Fit talks crazy about every race. So I didn't take offense to that.
I don't know about any of this.
I felt like it was ignorant, but whether it's a preference or not, I'm not gonna act like they bash black women. I also feel like black women don't need to give a damn what Fresh and Fit.
I feel like because Capricorn does represent darker skin. Yeah. It does. So it's like.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
I didn't know that.
Mars and Venus and Pluto coming into conjunction, it's like black girl magic. You're gonna see this whole
I'm a bad
uprising
bitch. I might be a black girl
of
myself.
anybody who is of a darker skinned ethnicity. So I'm not limiting
But not in the
that.
BLM way that was basically pandering and using. And I love that you said that too, because like.
You mean you don't want a woke white girl who's like running around with spray paint?
Oh
and, like,
my God!
And like a sign and like a beanie. It's like, look at my black boyfriend.
Oh my God! I don't care.
Mom, I'm super woke. Meet Jamal.
Oh my God!
Type bullshit.
Oh my God.
Fucking stupid.
Oh my God.
Just do what everybody else does and just bang and not talk about the color because we're all the same fucking color in the dark. It doesn't
Sexy
matter.
is my only type, whether you're black, white,
You just say
yellow,
pussy doesn't
brown.
have a face.
I mean, and it's all pink, as they say.
Pussy doesn't
so.
have a face. That's not
It is
true.
what
It's
it
not
is.
all pink.
It's not so okay. It isn't
not
all
all
pink. Is
pink.
some of it like brown and like salami meat, or never mind.
Whoa! Salami meat.
If
I don't know
it's
what
brown
you're looking
down
at,
there,
but like my shit's
you
like
might
a
have to go
fucking
to-
muffin. It's like perfect. Perfect. I don't want to hear salami, waffles, any of that stuff. Gross.
My bad. But like, so it's not all pink. I didn't know that.
No.
I just kind of assumed.
No, it's the same way not all nipples are pink. I mean,
nipples are. Oh, you're right.
mine are,
you're right.
but
Sun
Come on.
Pluto. Sun Pluto.
come on, what did you think they were? Green?
Oh God.
Anyways,
I just assumed they were all brown,
but here's what I am excited about though. Seriously though, the Mars Venus Pluto conjunction I think is going to be about people realizing it's not about being male or female or being gay or straight or black or white or yellow or orange, whatever color you are. People are going to come together and go, we're all getting fucked. Right? And a lot of the Pluto...
everyone's a nigga.
Yeah.
You're all niggas. Seriously, we went from the Dred Scott case. Is this nigger allowed to have rights?
Oh my God.
To now, are these unvaccinated allowed to have rights? Like nothing has changed. It's amazing. Well, I mean, a lot has changed. But
A lot of it's also about just the history of slavery and how the United States was founded. So obviously there's more about that in the Pluto return.
Actually, I'm glad
video.
you said that because right. Because it's all getting revisited, and that's really
Yeah, it's all
important.
about the bloodshed and everything that happened that our country was founded on and the founding fathers being slave-owning pieces of shit. So,
She said it. I mean, I'm
true. I can say that. That's my white privilege.
Oh
I can
my
put
God,
down
I
the
love that.
forefather. Sorry. I'm
mean,
using it for good, guys.
That's just how it was back then.
This is why we made
Like,
this fucking podcast, though. This is why we made this podcast,
Oh,
because
snap.
you're black, I'm white. I'm black on the inside, but I'm white.
And I'm white on the inside.
And you're
Or
kind
so
of, you're kind
so
of
I'm
a
told.
Republican. You're kind of a Republican.
Okay, I didn't.
And
I
I'm
kinda, I see
liberal,
what you're saying.
libertarian as fuck. But the
can
point
say
is that we can sit here on the internet and drink and have these conversations and oftentimes have different opinions.
Oh yeah, we
But-
be having opposite opinions.
But
sometimes,
we're
right?
not. But we can
And I'll
talk
be like,
about
oh,
it.
liberal, like I don't get right. You know what I
I'm
mean?
a
Like,
libertarian. I think everybody needs to get fucked.
Actually,
I'm just over everything.
I fuck with the libertarians because they say that taxation is theft,
Yeah.
and they know what's up. 'Cause
No
it is.
taxation without representation.
Yes. Isn't that what this country was founded on? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so getting back on topic. Getting back on topic before this sounds like a Black Lives Matter
Amen.
protest.
That's actually another thing I wanted to say. Like, this Pisces season is definitively the end because next Pisces season, Saturn is in Pisces and Pluto is in Aquarius. So, like, you really want to look at 2022 as the last year of everything you're used to. Because
I'm kind
this
of
is just a
excited for Pluto
transition.
and Aquarius. I'm ready
Oh,
for
yeah.
it. It's gonna
Oh,
go
yeah.
into my 5th house, and I'm just
yeah.
ready to fucking.
I feel like we're North
Kick
Node
ass.
Aquas, so like we've been waiting for this our whole
Yeah, we're
life.
gonna be super famous,
Yeah,
but not in like a
socialite way.
socialite way. It's like a.
It's like a new type of fame where like actually smart and knowledgeable people are famous and not people with no talent that just.
Or maybe
kinda
we'll
like,
become vigilantes, and we can wear like costumes and run around Vegas. And
So here's the thing: I truly believe Pluto Aqua is like the beginning of official vigilantism.
and the vampires are finally gonna come out.
And they're awakening. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Daywalkers. Well, they have artificial suns now, so they're gonna be in China at first. They're like, yes.
Okay, so we have
father's
the
a
new moon in
daywalker?
Pisces, and then Sun conjunct Jupiter on the 5th.
Oh my gosh. So what do you feel about the last two Sun conjunct Jupiters? It's supposed to be a lucky. Wait, that's gonna happen with the 29-degree conjunct. Oh my god.
Yeah, and the moon is gonna square.
These are
all of
outrageous
that.
transits, y'all. Like this is, And like it doesn't mean like on that day something crazy has to happen. It's starting a cycle that's gonna play out for the next few weeks to months. So like, woo!
I think Mars and Venus at 29 is definitely, with the moon square, we're gonna feel that breakthrough.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about it too much, but just some of the shit that's going on right now with Russia and Ukraine and all that. I mean, Mars being military, Venus right now is still in its retrograde,
Pluto's
being
nukes.
war. It's coming into conjunction with Pluto. There's like this heated tension going on.
Biden threatened
Yeah.
nukes. Mars, Pluto to me looks like nukes. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it'll be
Or
interesting
at
to
least
see
being
what
brought to
happens
the
because
table,
Mars,
like-
as we're filming this, Mars just got into Capricorn. But
Yeah.
I will tell you that this is about military mobility in a cold place.
Yeah.
So I do think that we are going to see that troops are going to go out. There are sextiles to Neptune. I think it's going to involve submarines and other things that are going to be offshore, things that we might not even be aware of.
That's really the main gist. I feel like Mars in Capricorn is the collective powers marshaling their forces
Right.
and organizing what their armies are about to
It
do.
just feels like a bunch of villains from like Austin Powers or like James Bond. Doesn't it?
It really did, like all
It really
the corny
does.
cliche
Yeah.
villains all coming back
Right.
together for like one last stand.
Well,
and
you
it's
know,
like,
the cabal's working hard, but
yeah. But I guess the astrologers are working harder. And we would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you darn YouTubers.
I know, right?
That's crazy. That was 2020.
Okay, so I want to talk about this because this I'm really excited about. Mars and Venus ingress at the same time to 0 degrees of Aqua.
And we know that last time that happened, it was Saturn and Mars, 2020.
Well, but we also had Mars and Jupiter move through there together at the same time. No, Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees of Aqua.
Really?
Remember? It was at the end of 2020.
Jupiter went there too?
Wasn't it Jupiter?
I thought it was Mars. But
No,
I think Jupiter
Saturn,
maybe
Jupiter.
did too. Oh, so
It was
was
0 degrees. It was the Great Conjunction. Wow. I'm pretty sure it was Jupiter.
That's what's up. I know Mars at some point did, but I know
Now I'm going to double check.
Jupiter
this 'cause it's gonna drive me
retrograded, right?
Crazy.
so maybe Jupiter went first, retrograded back. And
Yeah,
then-
but they were, I think they both crossed.
Yeah, they did. Look at that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Okay. So, you know,
Mars
the Great
hadn't even
Conjunction
caught
at
up
the end
yet.
of 2020, it was Mars and Jupiter conjunct at 0 degrees of Aqua. So fast forward, come back to now.
So Mars must have came after that.
Yeah.
Right. That's wild.
So this is going to reactivate this. And notice when it happens, the moon in Taurus and also Uranus, it's igniting a square. So here's the deal, guys. Once Mars, Venus get into Aqua, it's like game changing.
Game changer.
Whatever has been initiated, whatever has changed, whatever has died off, been reborn, whatever's been built up. Now it's like, okay, fuck it. We're going live. Like we have to just keep moving forward. And I love the sun in between Jupiter and Neptune in the midst of this. I'm a fan of it.
Ooh, yeah. That's going to be super mystical.
Because you're either going to give all of your Neptune away and you're just going to be like getting wasted and watching TV and jerking off and watching porn and eating Cheetos. Or
Cheetos.
it's going to be like, okay, the world's crashing down, everything's going to hell in a handbasket, so we have to collectively meditate and focus on raising the vibrations and our vision for the future. Because it's about holding that space. Because Aquarius carries the light.
Aquarius carries the light. The water bear, I like that you said that. It's that fixed knowledge and that collective. And that's another feature of this. There's nothing in Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag. And the last time we had this energy was 2020 and we social distanced for the first time. So we're going to see maybe innovation or revisiting of that. But in light of, using your Pisces right, many of you who do this right are opening the doorway into making obsolete and
Right.
yourself independent from the system.
Well, and
before it gets regulated.
They may try to scare everybody into going back inside.
Right.
It's like, oh, the new variant, like whatever's going on. Like,
The monkeys.
Mercury's getting up there in degrees.
Mercury coming out of Aquarius into Pisces is now it's gonna have our mind and brain catch up to processing all this magic we are aware of.
And conspiracy theories.
And conspiracy theories, which will be
Right.
conspiracy realities.
And there's a lot of stuff spreading globally because it's in the later degrees of Aquarius. Sun.
But then also like crazy misinformation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That if you get too caught up in all the news, instead of going within, you will get lost. You will be confused. You'll just be caught in a myriad of differing opinions that ultimately don't even matter.
March 10th looks a little uncomfortable to me with the moon in Gemini coming into the square with the sun Neptune. So it's like you don't know what to believe in. Sun coming into conjunction with Neptune on the 12th.
That's deep.
And
that's definitely a good day to make a wish.
Set at 22 also. So it's
in Cancer, that's supreme intuition. You're going to gain an intuition that will really like change your life or really like move you forward. If we think of the successive sun conjunction since 2012, this is now the 10th year of this.
Yeah.
So, 22 degrees in 2022, like we're being trolled by the universe. So like
it is in a trine to the south node though, and it's building into a sextile with Pluto.
Oh, trine.
It's in a trine to the south node in Scorpio, and it's building into a sextile with Pluto. So super spiritual day, great day for just focusing on visions and the direction where you're going forward and all of that stuff. We're starting to feel the nodes come into a square with Saturn. Then we have, I guess, Mars and Venus still moving together. And one other thing I would say, this will be an uncomfortable day too. The moon in the later degrees of Leo oppose Saturn, square the nodes. So this is going to be interesting because it's going to be a grand fixed cross. So it's going to give us some insight, kind of like the gears grinding and like where we're unwilling to make changes and kind of shift out of things right before we're coming into what will then be the full moon in Virgo. And it looks like that's going to be right around 27 degrees.
27 degrees, which is another, Gemini degree?
The evening PM hours on the west coast of the 17th. The
Action.
Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March.
Yes.
That full moon is a doozy. I mean, you kept talking about like really needing that Virgo energy to ground things out. So a full moon in Virgo is going to do that.
Give us the analysis required.
Look at that trine to Pluto. And look at the trine to the North Node. Right?
Very faded.
And Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So Mercury conjunct Jupiter is good news.
It is, but what do you feel about the light
Pisces.
Saturn square? That looks really binding.
Well, define light. Are you talking about Saturn square the nodes?
Yeah, just, like 3 degrees away.
As soon as Saturn is actually squaring the nodes, it will be with Mars and Venus. And
Oh
that
my
will
God.
be, I think, the end of March, beginning of April. So I have always interpreted Saturn square the nodes as like a skip step. It's like, no, you have to do this. So it's actually bringing up the fact that we have to learn to crawl before we can run. So we have to learn to do the Saturn work here in March, February and March, so that way we can really make that quantum leap actually in August when the North Node conjuncts Uranus. This is a stepping stone. So Saturn square the node says now is the time, right? Now is the time.
And more than ever, now is the time to be a member of our membership, level 1, 2, 3, or 4, if you aren't, because you have every moment to just take advantage of that opportunity. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know by the time you watch this, there's just going to be so much happening. Just stay centered and, don't remember, this is to prepare you for Aries season. So just, allow yourself to tap into the collective magic and always believe.
Yeah, thanks for the pep talk, Captain.
Hey.
Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate your support. Hopefully this is a really nice Pisces season for you. We're super stoked to be here, season 2. We appreciate all the love and support, and we will see you guys very soon. Take care.